Welcome to The Grand Review, a podcast all about movies and movie news. I'm your host, the 18-foot ogre of criticism, Garrett Ray. And joining me, as always, it's the man who's never lost in a match of Krampus-Schlapp. It's Andy Delia.
That's right. Thank you.
Well, if you've never joined us before, basically how this works is we do a spoiler-free review of this week's movie up front, and then we'll let you know when we get into spoilers, and then we'll do news towards the end. And you can find links to all of those different time codes down in the description of the episode. But yeah, we have a fun time. And also, if this isn't your first time joining us, why did you come back? Who hurt you?
Glutton for punishment.
No, seriously though.
That's my title.
This is kind of the best part of our week, I know, and we appreciate any of you who tune in and listen and let us be a part of your week. So,
thank you so much.
We hope that you feel uplifted and have a fun time after you listen to the show. So
that, or you just want to throw your iPhone out the car window.
Either way, I mean, as long as we can drive those sales up for Christmas,
that's right.
That's the whole deal. This actually is just a ploy to get more iPhones to be sold.
Okay. Where's the paycheck from Apple?
Oh no, we don't get paid for it. I'm just a shill.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I guess we'll just jump right into what's going on. So this week we are talking about the new movie starring Chris Evans and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Red One, and it's a Christmas film. And look, if you don't know anything about it, basically here's the synopsis. In the North Pole, where Santa's helpers are gremlins and furries, an ancient 20-year-old kidnaps Santa Claus himself in pursuit of her own nefarious goals. The head of the ELF security detail must team up with Charlie's Angels and Captain America to hunt down the captors, sell more Hot Wheels, and save Christmas by stopping the nonsense that is gifting snow globes. It's a terrible gift, and we should all know that by now.
Yeah.
That's what the movie's about.
Yeah.
All right, well, as is tradition, Andy, we start with your thoughts. So what do you think about Red One?
I hated this movie. I couldn't wait to get out of the theater last night. This is like the ultimate, I want my 2 hours of my life back, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I had low expectations for this to begin with. Mm. This is even worse than that.
That's pretty low.
This is awful. The story is garbage. The acting is garbage. Mm. Chris Evans' fake New York accent is annoying.
It's really bad. Yeah. Also, isn't it supposed to be Jersey?
Yeah. So maybe I said that wrong then.
Well, no, that's the thing is I can't even remember because it's
a bad accent all the way around.
And then it's not there, and then it's there, and then it's not there, and you're like, what are you doing?
And then even really good players in this, like J.K. Simmons, just utterly wasted. Obviously this is a paycheck film for everybody.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson, literally with one expression the entire film, and just oh, yes, let's go get Santa. Okay, thank you. Seriously, he does better acting in wrestling than he does in this film.
Right? And look, we're not knocking wrestling. It is an actual full contact sport, but also the acting is hokey.
Yeah, but it's a male soap opera. But for what it is, that, if you think there's more to it than that, you need to recheck that.
Yeah.
But
I look at wrestling as stunt fighting. It's stunt fighting, but it's live.
It is.
It's the stunts you see in movies, but done live without breaks to reset. And I actually do appreciate the physicality of that. That's really hard to do.
There is a choreography and an artistry that goes into that. And I've actually been close enough at live matches to see how fake it is.
Yeah.
But it's still really cool to see it.
Yeah.
And you definitely get caught up in the crowd and the emotions and the adrenaline. So that's what I'm saying. There's more acting in that than there was in this film.
Yep.
And even Lucy Liu, that I don't mind, wasted. Big wasted time.
It's an interesting approach. Do you have any more spoiler-free thoughts?
No.
Just it was bad.
It was bad.
So good, bad, great, or terrible? Where are you
terrible.
Putting it? You're putting it at terrible.
Yeah.
Wow, that's our first terrible on the show
the only
since we started that.
The only thing that surpasses this for worst film of the year is The Crow.
Yeah, The Crow was pretty bad.
Yeah.
That was just a travesty of bad decisions, and
so is this.
I think the thing is, though, I think The Crow can be studied as a what not to do, and Red One I think is more just meh, which is almost worse. Feeling nothing about a movie is almost worse than hating it.
I'd be embarrassed with Dwayne Johnson's production company being behind this.
Well, yeah, there's 4 production companies that are kind of credited on this. It's a $250 million movie.
You're kidding.
$250 million.
So this is Joker numbers.
Yeah.
And
it's actually beyond the budget of Joker.
I guess it looks a little bit better than Joker did. You can kind of see where the money went.
Like, and I think that was one of the things I wrote down was this movie looks expensive. It does. Like, you can see they put a lot of money into the CGI. Like, it's on par with the stuff you'd see in a Marvel movie. Like, it's punching at that level as far as production value goes. It's just that I don't buy any of it, you know.
Right.
Like there's
even the North Pole sequences just look so hokey.
Yeah, it's
the only thing I liked was that like when they had to go in and out of the dome for the North Pole, it looked like a snowflake.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, but that's about as far as I went with it.
That was what I forgot. What I meant to say with my synopsis in the North Pole, which is actually just Wakanda with snow, because it just ripped that off. Like, that's all it did.
Yeah, so there's nothing original in this film at all.
Not really, no. I mean, unless Grilla, the main villain, is something they came up with. I've never heard that before, but that could be some folklore thing.
And I thought even like using Krampus would catch my eye a little bit. No.
We'll get to Krampus. Okay.
I'd rather watch the Krampus movie that came out a couple of years ago.
I actually really like that one.
I did too.
Because it's so dumb.
I came this close to like playing this for the holiday films this year, and I decided to go with Violent Night instead.
I would have preferred Krampus, but I need to see Violent Night before I make that call. But I think this movie does fall into the same category of dumb fun as Venom does. It's just not as successful.
Yeah, but Venom was at least a little more entertaining than this was.
And I think that comes down to the characters, really. I mean, if you think about it, you know, every attempt at being earnest that The Rock has in this movie, it falls flat. One, because I think I know about how he acts on set, the way he tried to steamroll the whole DC train and make Black Adam the center of everything. And it was like, Black Adam
we see how that worked.
Yeah, Black Adam is not the central character of that universe, never has been. And people like him and are interested in him, but he's a side character. He still is.
But at least Black Adam had a good marketing campaign to go along with it. And if you ignored all that other stuff, you were very optimistic in going into that film thinking it was going to be good. Mm-hmm, yeah. The problem is the only good parts of that film was like the last 10 minutes. That's it.
Really? Yeah, I never even saw it. I just saw the meme where it's like his head's real big because they got a super wide angle.
Drew loves it, so I had to see it I think more than once.
Oh, my condolences.
Yeah.
Chris Evans, I think he seems to be having a good time joking around. Like, this was probably a fun set for him.
I didn't get that impression at all.
But he's like, well, think about it though. The script is mostly just him going, what? Like, it's just that. It's just him responding to things going, that's crazy. And like, you can't do a whole lot with that as an actor if that's all you're given to do.
So that's really not much to him then it's just bad writing and one-dimensional characters.
I think it's that, yeah. I mean, he literally steals candy from a baby at the beginning of the movie.
That was funny.
It was funny, but it was like, okay, we get it. He's a bad dude. you know, he's definitely on the naughty list. And I don't know. It wasn't, those things are, I think, failures of either writing or performance. It's hard to say which one. But the thing that really, I think, hampers this as like a Christmas movie is, and Jessica pointed this out last night, there's just way more cursing than is needed.
Yeah, I was shocked because I'm like, they're marketing this as like a big family film. And even though it is PG-13, but sometimes that could go either direction where you look at a film, like even Venom, we looked at that for PG-13 and go, really?
Yeah.
Like, this could have been PG easily.
Yeah.
And then, some films kind of really push that boundary and go, this is very close to being an R, but, it's still acceptable. This one, I was into that spectrum that, honestly, this probably could have gone R very easily.
I think so. And I...
Just the language in this. And I'm not offended by any of that. I've seen much worse than this in language and violence and bloodshed. And, but when you're marketed a film a certain way as to be family friendly, like very uplifting and cheery, like almost like Best Christmas Pageant was, and then you see what we were presented last night, it's not even close. And it's violent. You mentioned misogynistic last night, which I definitely
I said that
agreed
as
with.
a joke. I don't
No,
know.
it kind of is.
Where's the misogyny?
Like how the way that the Chris Evans's ex-wife is treated
Oh, yeah.
is just badly. And, almost like the witch's low-cut dresses and stuff like that.
I thought it came up like she had like a neck choker.
Yeah, but it's...
Oh, does it have like an opening?
It's like borderline erotic, yeah. So it almost looks like they shop for this thing at a bondage store.
Oh, God.
And that's what they came up with.
See, but they did that too in like if you look at Hela in Thor Ragnarok. Like, it's kind of the same thing. And like, most kids... I'm not saying a 13-year-old boy wouldn't look at that and go, I'm feeling something I've never felt before.
Yes.
But, it happens. Like,
right.
Kids. I don't think it really made sense for them to, because I actually feel like a lot of the action it's violent, but it's like
cartoonish.
It's bloodless. It's cartoonish.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And I feel like if they just hadn't cursed at all through the movie, I'd be like, yeah, it's a fun family time, whatever. But it's such a weird. Okay, when you do something like this with an R rating, there's a juxtaposition between the fun, family-friendly, ha ha ha, and then the guy dropping F-bombs for no reason. And it's like you can derive some comedy from that juxtaposition. This isn't committing fully to that, but it's still trying to do it, and it just comes off as like you didn't understand who you were making this for. You were trying to make it for all your buddies who like to say awful, terrible things because you're in Hollywood, but also for families in Middle America. And you didn't nail it because you tried to put in all of this stuff that it doesn't add anything. The only line that I would still keep is it happens later on in the movie, and no spoilers, but Callum gets slapped. And he's like, and Jack goes, "Are you all right?" And he goes, "He just slapped the beep out of me." And like, I laughed a little bit at that one because like that would have been the moment where it would have still made sense to me. But even then, you could have just said he just slapped the tinsel out of me or whatever. Do
something
the
a little
hokey
more
Christmas stuff.
Yeah,
and it's trying not to be hokey while being hokey.
I think they wrote this like while they were making it.
Maybe, or while they were trying out some new mushrooms they found in the woods. I don't know.
I don't know.
I do like the idea of a ripped Santa Claus. It's funny to me, so that one doesn't bother me. But I know it bothered Jessica. She's like, he's supposed to be fat and jolly.
Yeah, Jessica had some major problems with this film, and I didn't mind like a different mythology on Santa. Because even like Rise of the Guardians did that.
Yeah.
Where like Santa had tattoos, but yet he was big and fat, but he had like huge biceps.
Right.
So it was definitely a different take on
I just
that.
remembered how much I like Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah.
It's a
And
good movie.
he's the Russian St. Nicholas folk hero. And I thought that was a really cool approach to that. And I like that film.
Yeah.
This just, no.
It's funny.
I could not do it.
I kind of like the little twists on the mythology a little bit. Like, I'm just like, oh, it's kind of new. It's kind of interesting. And so I didn't mind most of that. But I do think that it falls flat in all the ways that a story should work.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
Yeah, and
at
so
all.
I mean, there's a good amount of energetic camera work. Like I said, it looks expensive, but the only problem with some of the CGI stuff is like the stunt doubles look very rubbery.
The abominable snow hitmen.
You know what? I think they're the best looking thing in the whole movie. Like compared
You might be
to,
right about it compared to some of the other.
compared to all the
like,
gremlins working in the North
or even
Pole.
like how the North Pole looked.
Yeah.
Like I was waiting for a cardboard standee to fall over every time that they were doing the photography on that.
Yeah. It definitely, like, you can tell they built that one set for the outside.
I was like, what, did Ed Wood make this movie?
No, that would have been funny. But yeah, it looks expensive, but it's just like the main villain is hamming it up more than anyone else. She's in a different movie. She's in a completely different movie than everyone else that's in this. And
she's probably actually the best actress in the entire film too.
I hated her performance. I hated it.
But considering like how everybody else's performance around her was just so bad, it made her look good in my opinion.
Everyone else was bland, but she was too like like I am evil, blah. I don't know. Like it was. She annoyed me. Everyone else I was a little bored with, but she kind of annoyed me.
She didn't annoy me as much as she did because, like I said, everybody else was so terrible. There had to be something to look forward to in this. So that was the only thing I could kind of point out and go, yeah, she wasn't so bad.
Her name is Kiernan Shipka, and she was in she was in Mad Men. That's what I know her from. And then she played.
See, I've never seen Mad Men. I need to see that show.
It's depressing.
Well, that's where John Hamm got to start, and I like him.
He's really good in it. But she also was the Sabrina the Teenage Witch, that TV show that was on Netflix.
Yeah, no.
So she was in that, and yeah, I don't know. Like she's got some stuff she's done. Oh, she was in Twisters. I forgot about that.
She was.
It's just like as a cameo. I think she was like the main character's.
I still
friend
try to
in a
forget that
show.
film too. So.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like her stuff, but I also I think I was just on board for the fight stuff, and then anything that broke away from that, I was like, I don't care about this. Like the action stuff, I thought was fun enough, But
maybe.
Yeah.
Just wasn't impressed with any of it.
I'm torn on this one, Andy. I haven't given my good, bad, great, and terrible at this point, so I suppose I should.
You're entitled to your own opinion. It's not right, but you're entitled to it.
I think I'm going to give this a bad, just because I care about my integrity as a reviewer. But I didn't hate it by the end. I was kind of just like, yeah, all right. There were a couple of moments where I thought I may actually watch this again. Maybe.
Good. You can take Drew to see it then. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
No. That's your problem. But then after those moments passed, I was like, I don't know. I don't care. Really. I don't care. And I think that's kind of where I'm at on it. I'm just sitting in like meh territory.
Okay. So. That's. Like I said, you're entitled to your own opinion. It doesn't have to be mine.
It's okay to be wrong.
No, I'm not even saying that, because I teach Drew to respect people's opinions, and I do. Mm-hmm. I was, because even there was somebody that came and saw it last night and thought it was great, and then after I watched it, I was like, did you and I watch the same movie? But, everybody has a different opinion. Everybody's entitled to that. And there's probably a lot of people that are going to go to this that are probably going to enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them. And everybody loved Twisters, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I love Twisters.
I hated it. I didn't hate it as much as I hate this. Because at least there were some things in Twisters that I could go, that's not so bad.
The VFX work in Twisters is just crazy. It's really good.
But that whole thing with the movie theater, concerning what we went through earlier this year, I was like, I call BS on that one.
Yeah, that was...
Because I went through dumb. That.
Someone held on with their boot. like that was bad.
To old metal seats that are nailed to the... Yeah,
absolutely would have ripped out of that concrete. Yeah,
in a second.
Fair enough. Yeah. Especially if you've spilled Coca-Cola down there, those bolts don't exist anymore.
Oh yeah, but the other thing too is as I tell other people too, where you're not going to realism for this film, and that was the same thing. You're not going to realism for this thing.
Yeah.
So me making that very harsh criticism about that, is it really fair? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm normally the 18-foot tall ogre of criticism, and this movie I should be picking it apart more, but I think I also like, and we talked about this many times on the show. The mindset you're in when you go into a movie will influence how you feel about it. If you're having a bad day, you're less likely to enjoy what you're seeing.
I told you all week I didn't want to watch this.
Yeah, I have text messages from you.
Oh no!
It says, "Okay, this week's mission, 7 p.m. Thursday night." And I said, we can do this. You said, not looking forward to this. I wish it was a private show so we can make fun of it.
Yeah, if I could sit there and turn it into Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, that'd be great.
I probably would have liked it a lot more. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. But yeah.
But there really wasn't even stuff I could rip apart about it. It's just there.
Yeah, it's got...
and it's almost like, picking on that kid in grade school, that it's just too easy. It's not fun.
Right. Yeah. The funny thing is, I think there's a collection of interesting ideas in this. Like, I would agree with that. I don't think that it's completely devoid of creativity or anything, but I think that the execution, and I'm not even talking about the director. The director directed the Jumanji movies, the last two. I think he's pretty good at like kind of kinetic energy and how he works the camera and stuff. Is it overly smooth and slick and flashy? Yes, but I don't have a problem with it. Like, it's perfectly serviceable for this kind of story. But yeah, the performances just really, really flatten this out. Like it's like, hey, we've got this idea, and The Rock went, squish, we're going to save Christmas.
Yeah.
And they went, great, because The Rock will only do one take. That's a joke. I don't know
another not great, like, Jungle Cruise. I actually like Jungle Cruise. He shows more emotion and creativity in that than he did in this.
In Jungle Cruise.
Right.
You're not even saving Christmas.
Right. You're just poor man Raiders of the Lost Arking it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. And like this is The Rock's production company too. So like he's been deeply involved in
people.
This. He needs to start firing himself. I mean, really, from a cannon into the sun.
Well,
but
his energy drink sucks too.
Does it really?
Yeah.
He just, and like I said, I don't buy any of him being earnest because I've heard about his behavior on set. He shows up hours late to work. And like when you have an entire crew of people getting up at 5 a.m. to go and get on set and get camera set and get ready to go, and then you show up 4 hours late, you're a jerk. You're a jerk. Like, oh, I have business meetings. We scheduled this, butt nugget. Get here. Get your shiny bald head in front of that camera and say, we're going to go save Christmas.
So he's the Gene Simmons of the movie industry now.
Yeah, basically.
Because that's kind of what Gene Simmons did a lot.
Yep. I guess he's also just like the Marlon Brando of now.
No.
He thinks he's better than he is.
That's not even...
That's right. Marlon Brando actually did something useful with his career at one point.
Yes, even though my wife hates it, The Godfather...
That's why she lost her Italian card.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, no, you can't watch that film and hate that and like consider yourself, even when you're married to an Italian, you get like the honorary.
Yeah.
No.
Revoked.
That revoked. Yep. Immediately.
Don't go to Italy. They'll kill you.
Meanwhile, she says she wants to go to Italy. And I was like, ooh, you better start liking The Godfather real fast.
You at the very least better learn how to lie.
Jessica can't lie, though. That's even more fun.
Oh, no. Alrighty. Well, yeah. It's not a recommend for me. I think a 14-year-old boy would think this is great. So
I'm sure Drew's gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm sure Drew's gonna love it.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it. Like, look, if you're looking to take your young kids, I don't think so.
Any kid under 10, no. Yeah. I would say not. Just the language, I think, is just too much.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that it's extremely excessive. I think it's just that it is. It's in there way more than you would think for the characters.
Not appropriate for the setting that it's in.
Exactly. Yeah. It's inappropriate for what it's trying to be.
Right.
And that makes it jarring and uncomfortable. So, all right, you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's do spoilers.
Let's do spoilers.
So I can really rip this thing apart.
Okay, so spoilers. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start with young Jack stealing his uncle's keys and showing his cousins where all the presents are hidden in the house.
That are supposed to be from Santa.
Yeah, and saying like, "Look, this whole thing's a crock." And he says the line, "I can find anyone or anything anywhere," and it's like, his cousin's like, "Well, why can't you find your dad?" And it's all just like, we get it. He can find stuff. Good job. It's so badly written. And that young actor, I'm not picking on a child, but he doesn't act like the other version of Jack at all.
No.
So it doesn't connect. Even
and he doesn't even I understand being a young chubby kid and then maybe getting skinnier when you get older, but there is an extreme disconnect between how he was supposed to look when he was younger and then how he looked as an adult.
His facial features don't
just
match
not
at
even
all.
Close.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that was like a, hey, my kid wants to be in this and I put money behind it kind of thing or what. But
that's exactly what I thought.
It's just like from a casting director standpoint, I'd look at that kid and go, yeah, that's not going to work. And I would move on to the next headshot.
There was a casting director? Really?
Well, probably.
Wow.
At the very least, they put it on the tax return sheet that they had a casting director.
Oh, so there's something going on in the back offices here that we don't know about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, bud, they got lots of tax evasion stuff in the movie industry. They call it They call it Hollywood accounting for a reason.
Yeah, I get it.
Jack's a bad dad, we find out. He's absent from his own son's life, which mirrors what happened to him when he was a child because he couldn't find his dad. The mall scene. Okay, so we're first introduced to the actual Santa in a mall.
Right.
Perpetuating the myth that this man actually exists. And I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's right.
But he's there, and we have this whole scene where Santa's like trying to actually talk to the kids, and he's there with the kid, and he's like Vampire Assassin 4, got it. And I'm like, could you have tried to come up with a video game name? Like that's just throwaway first draft kind of writing. And that being said, the more I thought about it, the more I went, they probably could make a game called Vampire Assassin, and it would do well.
I thought there actually was one.
No, there's not.
I thought that was a real game.
All right, well then never mind. It was fine writing. It worked.
Okay.
But yeah, the mall scene actually was pretty realistic in terms of how people actually act about Christmas or around Christmas.
And then there had to be that influencer that tried to cut the line.
Oh my gosh.
That was so annoying.
It was, and I just
unnecessary.
Was like, he says, he just puts on the shirt and says, "Now we're beefing," because it was like stew or something like that.
Yeah.
What was it? I can't remember. But yeah, that whole thing was annoying. But that didn't bug me as much as The Rock's performance in this scene.
Yeah.
And this is actually a directing issue, I think, too, because The Rock steps up and he's like, you can't cut the line, and the guy's still going on, and he just says, "You can't cut the line" again, but slightly slower, and the guy suddenly acts like he's been really intimidated by The Rock, but The Rock didn't do anything. He stood in the same spot, repeated himself.
Facial expression, same in a tone. Nothing changed from the first line to the second line at all, but yet now you're automatically intimidated.
Right.
So, one, you're a bad actor. Two, just cut the scene entirely, like when you get to the editing room. Because it doesn't work.
Or just have him take one step forward and the camera is like down low as he steps forward and like tilts up, and you really feel how big he is.
Right.
Like that's what you do.
Or even like get the eyebrow out from wrestling.
Yeah.
That would have done it for me. Just something simple like that. But once again, wrestling had better acting than this did.
Do you think that The Rock refuses to raise his eyebrow because of his history in wrestling, and that's why all of his facial expressions are the same?
I hope not.
Like, did he go, "I will not act with my eyebrows forever because I want this to be separate from WWE," and everyone's just like, "That's part of your face, bud."
Why? But that's what put you there.
I know.
So I have a problem when people do that. Like, for the longest time, I got annoyed with Jamie Lee Curtis because she wouldn't acknowledge that she did Halloween.
Really?
Which is generally what started her career. Yeah, there were years where like she just was not having it. And especially when she thought she became like this big actress. And then, when you're doing Beverly Hills Chihuahua and then they come along and say, "Do you want to do a 20th anniversary?" Yes. And then she goes on to talk shows that her phone is actually the Halloween music ringtone. And that's where I was like, okay, now you're embracing this more. You actually know what side of your bread is buttered on and what started your career. And now you're not being so pretentious, in my opinion.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's all a marketing ploy. She has a team of people who told her to set that as her phone's ringtone for the day while she was doing that interview. Like, that's all optics, man.
Well, it sold me.
Well, hey, more power to her. So is the government, and I'm not talking about in the movie here, but in the movie we do see the U.S. government accompanying Santa Claus into the sky. Do you think that the government knows about mythological creatures and has been lying to us?
No.
You're right. That doesn't sound like the government at all. All right. So we get to the North Pole, and the North Pole is different than I would have expected. I think...
Yeah, it's very dark.
Why is it so... Why is it that all the people that work at the North Pole are these weird, like, gremlin creatures? They're not elves.
Not even elves, right?
Right. The elf is the enforcement, logistics, and fortification something. Like it stands for enforcement, logistics, and fortification. It's like that is the thing you write down while you're trying to think of something better.
That made it into the script.
I know, but how is that where they ended up? and it just it baffles me. And I was looking at all the characters and I'm like, this looks like aliens from a throwaway planet in the Star Wars TV show or something. Like they're not
like messed up Ewoks.
What are they supposed to be? I can't. They never say what they are, so it's like I thought thinking, elves look weird, but no, they're not elves.
I keep thinking it was the rejects from like the Bad Dolls cartoon movie that came out.
The Bad Dolls cartoon?
Yeah, there's a movie that called The Bad Dolls.
Huh. I gotta look this up.
That they're all kind of like freakish and misshaped and Island of Misfit Toys kind of stuff.
Huh.
And I thought that's kind of what they...
Well, it's not loading, but I do have a black screen so I can see myself. And misshapen and weird is correct.
Yeah. So that's how I was like, so they took that design, CGI'd those, and made them for the North Pole.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really work either.
No, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like, it's yucky. And I don't know how else to put that.
Once again, just like everything else, it was poorly thought out.
Yeah. They're trying to do something different with that part of the mythology, but it's like, just let them be elves. Why do you have
that doesn't have to change?
And you could have, make the security detail the ho-ho-hos or something, like Homeland Horticulturist Harmonies.
But
I don't know.
Then you're kind of treading on dangerous ground there.
Well, we can curse at Christmas. Why can't we ho-ho-ho?
Oh, that's true.
Don't try and step on my Christmas cheer, Andy. If I want to say ho, I'll say ho.
So would that make the snowmobiles the ho sleds?
Yes, that is correct. Yep. It was like the North Pole should be this thing that like is full of whimsy and magic and stuff. And they're trying to do that while also still trying to, shove in little nightmare creatures. I don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I don't know. So that was weird.
Yeah.
How did no one know there was a hole being cut in the dome? So they have all of this, like the North Pole is protected by a dome that you can't see the North Pole, and they have all of this technology to raise barriers and like deal with breaches. How is there no sensors that register that these people are breaking into the North Pole?
Well, see, because they didn't steal that from Wakanda Forever. They just took part of it.
Yeah, it's the lazy recreation of Wakanda.
Right.
So there's no sensors outside of the bubble.
Right, so they have no security system at all. Meanwhile, they have all these people working for the security system.
Yeah.
And you guys didn't figure that out?
Yeah.
Your job should have been fired right there.
I think we should probably fire every small gremlin. So I guess... most of Congress is out.
Well, and then when Santa goes missing too, he's calling off to all these different people that like, who the heck is that?
Right. Yeah. So there's a montage sequence essentially of people going, he's not in here. He's not in here. He's not. And that one guy who was coming around the corner in that hallway, he's like, he's not in hydroponics. And it's like, he was so committed to it. I was like, why is that guy trying harder than the main star?
I really thought he was growing weed.
What did they say it was? It was like...
it was mistletoe.
Mistletoe hydroponics. Yeah, what a silly... Yeah. I like that stuff. Like, that stuff was fun. Like, yeah, of course they would have, like all of these things to produce stuff for Christmas. Like, that's a fun idea.
Even the whole thing with the sled and like how... all the presents were just little boxes that they rolled onto the floor and then enlarged them.
They get enlarged.
That whole scene where he's delivering presents at the end, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
But
again, weirdly rubbery and like not. Yeah. I can't buy the movement is too quick. If that makes sense, like he shrinks down and just and it's like he moves too fast almost for it to feel like he has any weight. And I think that was where a lot of the stuff, especially when anyone shrank in the movie. They felt weightless, and it doesn't jive well with like how you feel physics should work. And that was the only times where I was like, I don't like this. And it happens with Santa at the end, and it happens with The Rock at several points.
Yeah. That the whole fight with the snowman. Yeah.
So you want to talk about Aruba?
Sure.
This is my second favorite part of this movie. I like the Aruba stuff because the snowmen actually are like intimidating looking, and I love the scene where they're trying to fight the snowmen off, and the guy's like smashing through the countertop with his sword, and it makes this hole, and the ice is spreading. I thought all of that stuff was really cool. And then when Chris Evans shoves his head down onto the grill, and the eyes and the carrot kind of like kind of rotate around to the backside of his head. I was like, that's actually kind of creepy. I like it. Like that's intimidating.
Well, that's ripped off from the T-1000 from Terminator.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so that's why it was good.
Yeah.
Because it was stolen.
Yeah, because I'm surprised James Cameron's not asking for some kind of residual.
Maybe you should.
Should.
Yeah, but I liked that stuff, and I thought that the whole idea of getting iced is actually like that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
And I like that the snowman gets cut in half and then sticks himself back together, and yeah, I enjoyed that kind of whole action sequence. Apart from, it was funny to see The Rock tiny.
But even the sequences that were done in Batman and Robin, the worst Batman movie in history, with Freeze, was done better than this was.
I don't know about that. I mean, they had skates in their boots, man. It was really bad. How do you have skates in your boots? Where do your feet go? Did they like fold out? And then I can't remember how that worked, but yeah, I like the fight bits of it. It felt pretty rough. Like the first time that Chris Evans gets like picked up and thrown against the side of the bungalow, I was like, ooh, that looks like it hurts.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a CGI stunt double or a real stunt, but it looked painful. And I can always appreciate someone getting hurt for the sake of a movie. So,
why did that happen to you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I chipped a tooth, dislocated a rib on my own shoot, and yeah, I've hurt myself a couple times.
I had a burn on my shoulder from a squib going off because it was.
That's cool.
It had a little bit too much explosives in it.
I think it had just the right amount.
I took a gunshot and it went off, and yeah, I had a little bit of a burn for a while.
That's rough. That actually sucks, but it's a cool story.
Yeah.
So yeah, and better a squib than a blank from a prop gun.
Well, that's why I'm still alive.
Yeah. Bring back squibs. Stop doing CGI blood. Let's bring back squibs. I love them.
Yeah.
I do think the tasers were pretty cool. Or the acquiescers, she called them.
Yeah.
Just the idea that like they're fighting and then you get hit and you just kind of like shut down. Like when that fight was over where they captured Jack O'Malley, it was like, it's kind of a weird, creepy thing to just be like, all right, everyone's standing still, but no, I'm just gonna go. Like I actually really liked that part. That idea.
Well, that was the one thing I liked about this film too, was Garcia. I like the polar bear.
Yeah, the polar bear's great. He's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
But he's a bear, so what do you expect?
Yeah, but he had to like be second in command to the Rock, so of course he's gonna be a jerk.
Yeah, he has to be under that thumb. That's a terrible place to be.
He's probably like, I can do your job better than you can.
Anyone can do that job better.
Yeah.
I did think it was nice to see Lucy Liu. I haven't seen her in anything in quite a while.
Yeah, I think the last thing I remember seeing her in was Lucky Number 11.
I never even saw that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Josh Hartnett when he did good movies.
before the M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, before Trap. Yeah, him. Bruce Willis is in that too.
Uh-huh.
Extremely like twists and turns, complicated story, but it was really well thought out.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds up my alley.
That's a good one.
Okay, I need to check that out. Lucky Number 11. The list. The list is so long. I like that Mora, that's what Lucy Liu is the director of, the mythological something. But basically she's in charge of the
BS sector.
The BS sector. Well, it's funny because she was saying that she's in charge of Mythological Oversight and Restoration Authority. It's a clandestine multilateral military organization that oversees and protects a secret peace treaty between mythological creatures and humanity. And Chris Evans says, okay, so you're a government agency in charge of something that doesn't exist. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like government agency's domain.
Yeah.
Just a waste of resources.
Not too far off.
And so I was laughing.
Could it be the
that.
IRS?
Taxation is theft. Anyway,
that's right.
The Headless Horseman, though, that gag where he was like, "Is that the Headless Horseman?"
That was kind of neat,
and it looked really good, like the horse and the fire coming out of it. Like the CG on that was fantastic. It was really, really good. And I like that she's like, "We're questioning the usual suspects." I was like, "See, now that's an interesting movie. Make the usual suspects." Right. With mythological creatures. That could be really fun.
Yeah. So why didn't they?
Because money, Christmas.
They spent $250 million on this thing.
We spend money, we get Christmas money. It's Christmas movie. People buy Christmas movie. Christmas, buy, consume.
Are we going back to like They Live again?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad I didn't get merch for this at the theater too. I was glad I dodged that bullet.
This is not done super well so far. Like 3.5 million on Thursday previews is not a great number for something with a budget as high as Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, but Avengers Endgame, they could invest that kind of money and knew they were going to get the return that they would on that.
I mean,
that's a no-brainer.
They were knocking up against $1 billion for every movie they released in that series up until that point. There was a great amount of investment, and it was the end of that saga.
See, and this is where I will say, like, the movie going public is probably going to be smarter in that respect and look at best. If you're looking for a holiday movie right now before like the big ones come out for Thanksgiving, you're probably going to look at Best Christmas Pageant Ever, even though it's kind of a religious film, and then you're going to look at Red One and just go, no, Best Christmas Pageant Ever is probably going to be the better, movie dollar to spend on, and I fully agree with that.
Yeah, it definitely. I left Best Christmas Pageant Ever feeling Christmassy.
Yeah, I did too.
And I left this feeling like I just watched something written by someone who wrote, like, I don't know, Fast 7.
Drew
because that's
Drew
what it
could
is.
have written a better script.
I think we could have put a monkey in a room with a typewriter and a little bit of cocaine, and we would have come out with something better than this.
Or what was the one reference I had on the podcast with the monkey on the trampoline?
Oh, yeah. Disney executives are just a bunch of monkeys in suits on a trampoline trying to figure out how to get off or something like that.
Yeah, the release schedule, they're just throwing stuff at dartboards. Yep. I'm still not sold on Mufasa, though.
That's not going to be a good movie.
No,
there's no way it's enjoyable.
The problem is we're going to have to watch that too.
I know, but we made it through this movie.
And this is actually about the same runtime as Mufasa is.
Oh God, it's that long?
It's 118 minutes, so it's like 2 minutes shy under 2 hours.
You remember when they did these weird Disney spinoffs and they kept them to 80 minutes so they wouldn't have to pay to animate
the direct-to-video things.
More?
Yep.
That was a good time.
Yeah, they need to return to that.
They really should. Why do we need a 2-hour movie about Mufasa going, I did it, I saved us. Oh, well, maybe this was a bad idea. Anyway, I can't emote because I'm a freaking lion.
Walking with Dinosaurs is worse.
Did anyone even see Walking with Dinosaurs?
I did.
Oh. Oh, no. You know what?
And I can't even make the pretense that I watched it on a bet or somebody challenged me to watch that. No, I volunteered to watch that, and I was like, why?
What were you running from? What did you need to have 2 hours of hiding away from?
My ex-wife.
Oh, that'll do it. Okay, so I have a note here that we get to see a full-size Rock in this movie, and also the little insecure Rock that lives inside him when he shrinks down. There's the Rock's ego and who the Rock really feels like. And it's the teeny tiny boy. I still don't like the way that stuff looked. It was too rubbery. It was weird.
No, and it was too fast.
Yeah.
It was blurry most of the time.
Yeah. And some of the camera moves, you can tell they're doing like a digital camera move and kind of like warping the background weirdly, and it doesn't feel good.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Nick Kroll also just says horrible things, and I saw him and was like, Nick Kroll, I don't like this guy. He was the dealer, the broker who hires Jack in the beginning.
The
to
guy that
get
looks like
the
Chris
seismic.
Kattan.
If I knew who Chris Kattan was, I could agree with you, but I'm just going to agree with you on principle. How about
that? He was from Saturday Night Live. Corky Romano was like the big crappy movie that he did.
Yeah. Okay.
He looks like Chris Kattan.
He does, yeah. Well, Nick Kroll, the only thing I've seen him in that I didn't hate him in was Parks and Rec, but he was one of the main driving forces behind that. What was the series called? It was a Netflix series where young children get their puberty demons. That
got me.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look this up real quick.
I have no idea.
So Big Mouth is this animated series that's on Netflix, and it is
never even heard of it.
So it's controversial. It's still going apparently, but it's an adult animated coming of age sitcom. Centers on students based on Kroll and Goldberg's upbringing in suburban New York, with Kroll voicing his fictionalized younger self. Big Mouth explores puberty while embracing an openness about the human body and sex. So it's an animated series about children and sex. Does that not on its face just already sound like, no,
avoidable?
Just don't do that.
Yep.
Just don't. I get that puberty is a thing we should talk about, but like,
at least you can do that with like Sausage Party, and it can be funny.
Sausage Party wasn't funny, man. What are you talking?
I thought it was. And I do want to see the series on Amazon. It's called Foodtopia, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah. And it's probably bad, but
the way the animators were treated by Seth Rogen and his team on food, what is it?
Sausage Party.
It's a legendary, like, how awful the working conditions were and how
Really?
much they were expected and how little they were paid.
I kind of believe that.
Absolutely, just like behind the scenes, just the worst scummy work conditions you can imagine.
Worse than Disney?
Yes.
Ooh, that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
That's
Disney why I think Seth Rogen is not the golden boy everyone tries to say he is.
Because Disney animators aren't treated well either.
No.
And that's obvious from, if you go back and look at the old posters, they implanted something that's not quite right in every one of them.
Yeah, there's a couple of, there's definitely, I guess you could call it the horngus of a donglefish on the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this whole thing is just about, they have a demon that encourages them to masturbate because it's healthy or something like that. Like, it's gross. Anyway, Nick Kroll, probably not the best person to invite to.
So that makes sense why he was in this film then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and look, I'm not saying, Nick Kroll is loved by God just as much as I am. So I'm not saying like, oh, he doesn't deserve to live or whatever like that. But he has a very extensive history in comedy, especially around like the NBC sphere. But the stuff that he does, just like, you know how I talked about how Ryan Reynolds in a lot of stuff drives me nuts because it's all of my worst impulses.
Yeah.
He's beyond that.
Ooh.
So just dirty stuff. And so anyway, just wanted to point that out. Nick Kroll, not for kids.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get to my favorite thing though.
Okay.
After they go through the snowman fight. And I just want to point out that they're in a rush, right? The whole movie, like they're running out of time.
Oh yeah, because they're against a clock when it doesn't seem like that at all.
Right, because when Chris Evans gets his foot frozen to a lake and he asks for help from The Rock, who's trying to get things moving, he goes, "Yeah, you'll figure it out." And I'm just like, "You're the one who keeps shouting about how there's no time, you anus."
Beef?
Yeah. And so, yeah, that was dumb. But the Krampus stuff. So after this, they go to Krampus and they're trying to find out. Because there was an unsanctioned conjuring at Krampus's place, apparently. So they go there because they believe the Christmas witch Grilla, who is behind all of this, is there or has been there recently, and Krampus might know something. So they get in there, they sneak in, and this is where we get the best scene in the movie. As far as I'm concerned, the Krampus stuff is awesome.
Okay.
I love the Krampus scene. This was the part in the movie where I'm like, I may come back and watch this because I kind of like this. And the reason I loved it is, one, because this is, if you like creature stuff, there's so much eye candy.
There is.
Like the makeup is incredible. They're actually doing these, it looks practical. It doesn't look like someone was like there are
like
some
not CGI'd onto somebody's face.
Yeah,
right.
there are some CGI characters in there, but like the bird thing who's like in charge of saying the rules for Krampusschlap, like that looks like a practical costume, and it looks so good.
Yeah,
and it reminded me of watching The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That scene where Aslan gets killed on the stone table.
Oh, yeah.
There was so much good creature work in that movie too, and this reminded me of that. And I was like, that does feel like Christmas to me, because like that was what The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was. It was a Christmas movie for us,
right?
And I loved all of that stuff. I loved the performance of Krampus. Like he's carrying the whole thing at this point for me. He's entertaining. He looks devious and menacing, but then he can turn on a dime and start laughing, and the accent is really good. Like, I friggin' loved Krampus, and I loved the the slap at the beginning, the first Krampus slap where he smacks and the guy goes flying, and then they cut back to him later, and the whole side of his face is just red. It's like I was having so much fun at this part of the movie, and I really wanted more Krampus stuff. Like if most of this movie had been set in Krampus land, then I would have enjoyed it more.
Okay.
So, but you said that didn't even carry it for you. So I'm interested to hear what you thought about that.
I mean, some of the stuff is amusing, and yeah, I agree. The practical effects are pretty cool, and that whole sequence is okay. Just by that point, I've already checked out because what you have to go through to get that is just so mind-numbingly boring.
Yeah.
And just stoic and horrible.
Yeah.
That when something does finally good show up, you're like, oh, who cares?
Yeah,
and that was my attitude.
And right before the Krampusschlap scene, they're supposed to have this like emotional moment where there's a heart to heart between Jack and Callum, and it just I don't buy The Rock being sincere about anything. No, I don't buy it.
Because his emotions or facial expressions don't change the entire film.
Not at all. And you don't see him really struggling with things. He tells you he's struggling with not seeing the kid inside everyone. But, like, it doesn't matter.
Even that whole line of dialogue where Santa asks him, well, why is he resigning? And it's almost like he's reading them off of cue cards. Like that. Yeah. It looks like the Blake Shelton thing before Best Christmas Pageant ever that we... And you think you would put like you're quitting the North Pole, you're quitting like the dream job, and there would be some emotion, even maybe a little bit of a tear shed. Nothing.
Yeah.
And that's even just so bothersome to me.
Yeah. Like
because that's what that scene actually requires. And you didn't even put that much effort into it. So how am I supposed to care as a viewer?
Yeah. He has like the words, but he has no vulnerability. And that's The Rock shtick, but it's just old. It's old at this point. And if you're in Fast and Furious and you're playing a hardened, international cop who goes around and just beats people up and uses a grenade launcher, like, yeah, I don't need you to feel things. Feel nothing and hit the guy. Great. Right. But that's not what Christmas movies are for, and it really is disappointing because I think they're trying to make a good point. About this idea that every day is a chance for you to make the right decision, to do the right thing. Every one of those choices you make is an opportunity. That rings true.
Right.
But I don't care when he says it.
Right. And the whole thing about like people are just getting worse, and they don't care. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But once again, your delivery on that was so flat and boring that why should I side with you?
He should have felt at the beginning like he didn't want to retire, but he couldn't take it anymore.
Right.
Instead, he just goes, "Yeah, I won't miss this." And it's like that whole opening scene, and Santa going like, "Tell me you're not going to miss this," and someone goes, "They don't have essential oils." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to miss this." It was like that should have been him going, "I miss what it used to be. I'll miss what
even if I was in that position, even I'd miss like the kids and like standing in line and having them wait and seeing them, ask for stuff. Because that whole part in the mall at the beginning, I kind of liked that, and I actually had some hope that the rest of the film was going to be somewhat decent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that went away real fast.
Yeah, it falls into action movie right after that scene. And what does Santa say to make the reindeer go fast?
I couldn't figure that out for the life of me.
Holgevierg?
I have no... It's probably something German derivative.
Maybe.
Because that's kind of what most of the film went on.
I thought maybe more Norwegian because it sounds like an IKEA shelf name.
Oh.
I can't...
See, that's actually funnier than the movie that we watched.
Oh boy, that's bad for them. I set a low bar.
The one line out of the film that I can side with and I loved was a cookie can cure anything.
Yep.
Yes, fully agree.
It is the answer to all problems.
I'm down with that any day of the week.
Especially a snickerdoodle.
Chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh, yeah, chocolate. I got some chocolate chip cookies at home actually. I'm gonna go eat those. I don't know. I do like the idea of the creepy piano bit where the witch, like, she gets She gets Jack and Jack's son each snow globe, and the piano appears in the road and has the present on top of it, and it's doing Christmas music and stuff. I was like, that's a fun idea. That's a really great idea. Like that's the kind of thing I would like to see more of. Do stuff like this.
But the problem is you saw that coming a mile away as soon as she was like, no, let's do something else.
Yes.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah, they telegraph everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, and in some ways you have to. Like, you have to set stuff up, otherwise it feels like a Deus Ex Machina. And it's just like, well, that came out of nowhere. So you have to set things up, but they're just like, hey, we're gonna set this up. Are you looking? Look at me. I'm setting it up. Are you looking? And then about 10 minutes later, they go, okay, I think you got it. And you at that point, you've already stuck the ice pick in your ear.
Well, that goes to show that they're just treating the audience that's coming to this like they're stupid.
Yeah, that's one of the things that annoys me more than anything. I know, like in production, there's always a balance because you don't want to treat your audience like idiots, but you also have to understand that people miss stuff. And so you have to say, don't underestimate how stupid the general audience is, but also don't treat them like they're stupid.
Right.
And so it's a balancing act. And this one, falls more in the, everyone's stupid category.
Yeah. And that takes some lessons from Heretic.
Yeah. Heretic was good.
Yeah.
I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
You want to do that instead of watching Moana?
I'd love to.
I'd love to too.
The trick on that would be try to get Maria, who's going to be our guest host that week, to try to get her to watch Heretic. That's a podcast in itself.
She'd kill us.
Yeah, she would.
Okay, so they get kidnapped into the snow globes. And they get transported back to the North Pole. And Jack and his son are next to each other on a shelf, stuck in snow globes. And oh my goodness, everything's gone wrong. And the kid's trying to figure out what he did wrong to get in this situation. And Dad's like, it's my fault, son.
Because I'm a horrible dad.
Sorry, I put too much emotion into that. He goes, it's my fault.
Yeah, that was perfect.
And so, we're having that scene. And they just get out of the snow globes. Because they were nice.
Yeah, see, I thought that was just me that I kind of missed something.
Nope.
No, it was that.
It was quite literally, Dad made a decision to not be a bad dad, and that breaks the magic.
Yeah, so that outdoes like years of being a bad father. Like
yes, one moment of clarity outweighs everything you've done wrong in your entire life, including starting fires and stealing candy from an actual baby.
Yeah.
What are you doing with this movie? Like, and they just left him there. Like, no one was guarding that at all. They didn't take him. Like, why wasn't he taken onto the sled maybe or something? Why did they just leave him there completely unguarded? I guess because they thought he couldn't get out, but it doesn't.
Right.
Like, the Gorilla's not the only one with magic in this world.
Right, all the little henchmen there.
Yeah. And they're all shapeshifters. Interesting idea. They completely can just like tell who is or is not because Dwayne knows everybody. And so like that kind of just is like it's an idea that doesn't get played with and just kind of gets tossed out with the shapeshifter stuff. And then they're just everyone gets on the sled and boom, big CGI fight on this runway.
Yeah.
And that's not interesting. It's not. Well, and also like, they try to do the fake out where when Jack manages to kick the harness off of the reindeer and she falls off the edge and they try to, be like, it's over. But they've talked several times about how she's actually an 18-foot ogre. Mm-hmm. And she comes back and it's like, yeah, of course she did. I do like the design of that monster.
I did too.
The double tails and the whipping around and stuff. Like, she felt like she had weight when she was fighting. So I liked that more. But then the Rock goes tiny and he looks bad next to it. It's just like, did you have two different teams working on this or what? Like, what did you outsource like all of Dwayne's shrinky scenes to India? What was this? Because this looks like Bollywood stuff. It really does. And I was so confused by that because I'm like, some of this stuff looks so. The polar bear looks fantastic.
Hey, Bollywood stuff looks better than this does in some things that I've seen.
Oh man, Bollywood's got some actually really cool stuff that they've done. There's one of my favorite clips. I'll have to show it to you, but there's a clip of a guy who. He swerves his car, and as it's sliding sideways, he steps out in slow motion, and then he like shoots the tires on the car that's behind him. And as the car like turns and flips, and it's flipping over him, and he reaches up and pulls the guy out of the driver's seat while the car's slipping over. It looks so uncanny, and it's great. Bollywood's doing the fun stuff we won't allow ourselves to do because we're so highfalutin.
See, but that would be more interesting than what we watched.
Yeah, I would love to see more of that kind of stuff, like in these movies where it's silly. Don't just be silly, be ridiculous.
Yeah,
I love ridiculous. Like, and be ridiculous, and then either decide if you're cursing or not, and commit.
Yeah,
See,
I have a feeling that's what Mickey 17 is going to turn into.
Oh, really?
Is just like ridiculous, but fun. Because knowing that Bong Joon-ho does the host, which we know is ridiculous and fun because it's actually the one film you and I have seen.
Mm-hmm. Well, in Snowpiercer, he did Snowpiercer, and Snowpiercer is ridiculous. It's great.
And Chris Evans actually shows more emotion in that film than he did in this.
Yeah, because he was trying.
Yeah,
or was given an actual script instead of just told, okay, that's happening. React evenly.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I like, again, I kind of was on board for the action of that final fight, and when Krampus comes in and he's shooting fireballs and stuff. I'm just like, this is fun. But
that's the other misogynistic thing too, is when they start fighting it. Oh, just like the good old days.
Is that misogynist, or is he just a masochist?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both.
Could be both. Yeah, because I love when he lands and he goes, "You have no idea how to talk to a woman."
Yeah,
like this, a real woman. It's like, that's an 18-foot ogre with two tails.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So yeah, it was. Look,
that's not a real woman. That's my first wife.
It's big dumb popcorn fun, but
it's
got that in it.
If at least it had my attention up to that point, I would care a little bit more.
Yeah,
problem is it just didn't.
That is the problem. I think I was able to just kind of shut my brain off enough that when the action stuff was happening, I was like, yeah, and then other times I was going, that looks like a green screen shot. They're not in a truck, but I was just picking it apart for those things for my own enjoyment. So I kind of made my own fun while watching it.
Oh, okay.
And I also, like I said, I've come to really, in the last couple of years, I've come to really be kind of obsessed with looking at VFX as an art form and how it works, and because I want to start doing more of that stuff for my own work. And I was enjoying the fur on the polar bear and the like the way that it works and the way that we can render that stuff now. I was enjoying the two tails and how like she like wipes her face with one, or no, when Krampus wipes his face with his tail, he's like, you and I are not so different, and he just like with his tail across his lips, and he's like, okay, we're a little different. So I was just enjoying those things about it, because I think that there's a talented team of people that worked on this. I think there's a lot of people who are very good at their job, operating at a high level. But the people that are on screen either don't know what they're supposed to be doing, are being directed to do the wrong things, or don't care.
Right.
And that's where it falls apart. I think there is a fun Christmas movie in here, but it's trapped in a
bad acting,
glockenspiel, or whatever they call it, the Glaskefig.
Because a glockenspiel is a clock.
Yeah, well, I don't speak German.
You got that wrong.
I always do.
You picked the one thing that I actually know.
Okay, the Glaskefig. My bad. The glass prison.
Okay, yes.
It's stuck inside the glass shiny ball that is the Rock's head, because he won't let it out. And so, yeah, I don't know. I also, just one last thing before we wrap on this movie. The Rock, he has this moment. I was having enough fun with the action by the end to just be like, yeah, all right, whatever, sure, why not? But then The Rock looks back at Chris Evans talking with his on-screen son, and it then like switches to him seeing the kid Jack, and then Santa looks over at him and goes, "You're seeing it, aren't you?" And he goes, "I lost it there for a minute, Nick." I was just like, have 1 ounce of humanity inside your big bald head. Like I was so viscerally angry at how lame his delivery of that line was. The rest of the movie, I'm just like, okay, he's trying to be stoic. Fine, whatever. But then at the end, he's just like, "Yep, got it back. Lost it there for a minute, Nick." And it's just like, you suck. Yeah. You suck.
Put you back in the world of Jumanji.
Yeah, just put you back in the WWE.
I hate those movies too.
I don't mind the first one, but
the bad part about it is I hate them so much that I don't want to go back and watch the Robin Williams one that I've never seen.
That is a disservice to yourself, sir.
Yeah, and everybody keeps telling me that.
I really, like, growing up, I have watched that first Jumanji film so many times. And not only is it a landmark movie for VFX, because it was one of the first times that all these CG animals with fur and stuff could actually be rendered. Mm-hmm. And it's also got some great like puppet work and stuff in it. The monkeys look bad, but it was the 90s. It's not their fault.
Okay.
But the storytelling, the pacing of it, Robin Williams' performance, Bonnie Hunt's performance.
It's funny that Bonnie Hunt pops up in this.
Yeah, she was in this one, and I was like, "Oh, that's Bonnie Hunt." And it's a very, very, very good movie that actually everyone's trying way harder than they are in this. So yeah,
Kirsten Dunst is in that too.
She is. Yeah. It was one of her kind of first
ones.
Really big ones. And
because was it that or Interview with the Vampire that came first?
I think Interview with the Vampire came first.
Okay.
But yeah, there was Jumanji not long after that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really good movie, and it's nothing like the Jumanji movies that were made in the last 5 years.
Yeah, like both those. I never even saw the second one. I saw the first one. That was enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I had a crush on the redhead, whatever her name is.
Oh,
but
that's she's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but that was pretty much the only reason I saw the movie at all. I was like, she's cute. I'll see that.
I get that. Yeah, definitely.
But then after that, I was just like, I don't know if these are fun enough to justify my time.
Nah, especially like looking at Kevin Hart for that long on screen too.
He was good though in the movie. It was him and Bryan Cranston, and it was actually a remake of a French film, I think, but where he's playing, he's taking care of this invalid
The
man.
Upside?
The Upside, yeah. That movie, he was actually good in that. It was like, do more of this stuff, Kevin.
There's a Netflix film, too, where he plays a single dad, and it's more for serious than it is laughs. Okay. I don't remember the name of it either, but that one's actually not bad either.
I'd like to see him do more stuff like that.
Right, just like, My Theory with Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
I think she's way better at doing serious stuff and semi-serious stuff rather than just being a big fat obnoxious woman. Like that's
that's my job. Get out of my way, Melissa McCarthy.
That's and I see the films like Tammy and the first one that got like her all the attention with Jason Bateman,
the Identity Thief,
right? Yeah. And they're just all the same role, just different films.
Yep.
And I was like, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap on Red One and never think about this again.
No pun intended.
Christmas. Funny. All right. Well, let's get into news.
Let's do news.
Okay. So first up on the news, did you know Chick-fil-A is putting together a streaming service?
Really?
Yeah, I just found out about this. They're going to be trying to put together essentially
So it's going to be a Christian-based one then, I'm assuming.
Like a family-friendly one, yeah. That's kind of the idea. So I don't know if they've talked with Angel Studios or whatever. Now, there is already one like Christian streaming service. It's called PureFlix. And look, PureFlix, I think they're behind God's Not Dead. But they
they are.
Yeah. Look, I've seen some of the content that's on PureFlix, and it is dreadfully obvious that they are going for quantity over quality. And I'm not.
That's we played that God's Not Dead 5 that nobody came
for.
No.
And yeah, it's most of the movies. Like, there's a really bad John Wick knockoff called Beckman, and yes.
I don't get a Christian John Wick film. That just is a contradiction right there.
It makes no sense.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And like I've written action movies as a Christian. Like I've written one that is about two brothers who it's this globe-trotting adventure. There's a lot of fights and there's a lot of guns and there's a lot of all that stuff. But like it's also not full of hookers and cursing. So, like so you can do it, but it's such a weird, like it was clearly a John Wick ripoff. And like, why do that?
Although I'm still waiting for Ballerina.
Oh, Ballerina's gonna be fun. I'm excited about that. But yeah, Chick-fil-A, they're trying to put together a streaming service. I don't know when it's maybe expected to launch later this year.
So is it not going to be available on Sundays too, just like the restaurant?
Now that would be funny. Just a big screen that says "Go to church."
Yeah.
You have to attach a camera to the back of your TV, and you can bring home the bulletin that shows you went to church, and then it'll let you watch things.
Yeah, validation successful. Okay, boom.
But they don't accept Mormons. Anyway.
Well, did Hugh Grant heretic?
Fair enough. Okay, so next on the list, Predator Badlands.
Oh, yeah.
So it's announced that Dan Trachtenberg would be making this movie, and apparently the Predator is a hero in this, not a villain. He's not the antagonist. So Trachtenberg said the creature's front and center leading the charge. He's still bad, but there's something there that touches you emotionally too. Creating a character you connect with, but also super intimidated by has been challenging, but exciting.
See, the bad part about that is that, like, that sounds so interesting, but I got to wait a year to see that. It's almost, I always got mad at that when I was growing up, and summertime you would see like the trailers for Christmas or even like next summer. And I was always like, why bother even showing it to me? Because I'm going to get that upset.
I think it's just because it creates a sense of FOMO that you already have about the movie. So when it does come out, you're like, oh, I have to go now.
Yeah.
Marketing is basically just manipulation.
But yeah, Predator, like that alone right there, I don't even need to see a trailer. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm on board for this, whatever it ends up being. I like Dan Trachtenberg's work.
I did see a still for the animated one. Because I sent you that in a text message the one day.
I missed that.
And it's like, very anime looking, but it looks really cool.
Okay, yeah, I see it now. Yeah, that looks really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife and I have been watching The Last Airbender like while we're doing other stuff.
Not the M. Night Shyamalan.
No. The original cartoon. And like,
see, and I've never seen that, and people said that one's pretty good too.
It's very good. I mean, I have a nostalgia thing for it because it came out when I was a teenager. But
and they're redoing that or something too, aren't they?
There's a live action Netflix series ongoing now. There's casting news about it, but I didn't include it because I'm not going to watch it.
Oh, okay.
But the animated series is. Look, it's definitely got like a lot of, just funny sort of slapstick sort of humor to it, which I love because I grew up working with clowns who taught me about vaudeville and stuff.
Right.
So, that for me, I connect to it on that level. And we've actually met some of the voice cast over the summer. But it has some really heartfelt stuff in it that's actually like really good writing.
That's cool.
And so it's worth a watch.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay. Apparently, they are making 10 of the tumblers from the Batman movies for real, and they're $3 million each.
What?
So the official website says limited edition of 10 Wayne Enterprises tumblers, fully functional, iconic Batmobile, are exclusively being sold by invitation only. These highly collectible tumbler Batmobiles are officially sanctioned by Warner Brothers and will be available for sale to an exclusive audience of avid car collectors.
Yeah, Elon Musk and Trump.
No, you also have Jay Leno. So
he doesn't count.
That's 3. Who else is getting them?
Alice Cooper.
Baby. So yeah, it's going to have a powertrain 6.2 liter LS3 525 horsepower engine with 486 foot-pounds of torque and a GM 4L85E transmission with paddle shift. Well, I don't speak engine, but
it's a good size engine.
Okay, well, someone definitely out there heard that and their engine started going.
Yeah, maybe not our audience, but
yeah. But yeah, it comes from Action Vehicle Engineering, and yeah, apparently it's they're actually making the tumblers, and I want one.
Okay.
Then I'm not going to get invited, so it's not even an option. But I want one.
But could you imagine the insurance on that thing? See, that's where I look at those things and go, yeah, that'd be cool as heck to own, drive around the block and everything. But then the reality comes is you have to pay insurance on that too in order to drive it. So
who's going to stop me? I'm in the Batmobile.
Belton cops, there's somebody that's going to harass you.
Yeah, maybe so. We got an official plot synopsis for the new Fantastic Four movie. So apparently, set against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world, the Fantastic Four First Steps introduces Marvel's first family, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm, as they face their most daunting challenge yet. It's their first one, so probably, yeah. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, they must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer, played by Julia Garner? That's news to me. Yeah, and Ralph Ineson is playing Galactus.
So this is generally the live-action version of The Incredibles.
Well, yeah, The Incredibles was always kind of a Fantastic Four ripoff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know they were making the Silver Surfer.
Well, Galactus they tried to do in the second one with Jessica Alba and the one with Silver Surfer. And that movie is just so stinking bad.
It's really bad. I kind of like the Silver Surfer character in that. Like, I think they did that all right, but everything else is...
Yeah, so I went down to the theater in Georgetown, Film Alley. They actually still have the standee from that.
Really?
The Silver Surfer, yeah.
Huh.
And it's up really high, so I couldn't just pick it up and walk out the door with it.
They knew you were coming.
Because those things are worth a lot of money if you have one.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Weird. Julia Garner is the mom from the upcoming Wolfman movie. So that's who's playing the Silver Surfer. The Wolfman.
Oh.
The mom from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's who's playing the Silver Surfer. So that's fun.
Cool.
And then I can't remember, who's Ralph Ineson?
I still don't have high hopes for it, though, just because at this point I kind of feel Fantastic Four should just be left alone. And I never bothered with the Miles Teller one, just because everybody that I had talked to said it was just so stinking bad.
The studio either was sabotaging it or Josh Trank lost his mind. I don't know. Josh Trank doesn't basically, I think he's just now getting back into actually making films again. And that was almost 10 years ago now, 2015. And yeah, it was not good. I've never seen the whole thing, but I've seen parts of it and I'm just like, this, like every bit, if you watch a scene and then you watch another scene, it's like, these are not from the same movie. Like, this is very clearly a reshoot done by someone else to appease a studio head at Fox, which is never a good idea. And like, yeah, it's real bad. I'm interested in this simply because I want to see if they can do it well. Can the Fantastic Four work? I mean, yes, in The Incredibles it works, but it is there are different dynamics in The Incredibles.
Yeah.
This is a different family dynamic, and I'd like to see that. But yeah, weird that they're just going straight to Galactus, which is like the big bad of the Fantastic Four.
Of the Fantastic Four world.
Yeah. They're not going to waste any time setting it up. They're already established. And maybe that's a good move because we're past the Phase 1 Marvel stuff. But it is still like, I don't know. Will they do like I guess they'll do like a quick catch you up to speed at the beginning and then do a time jump.
That doesn't take... Honestly, they don't even really need to establish the characters again and do a backstory for everything. Everybody at this point knows that. If you don't, go back and read a few comic books. You'll get it in like 10 seconds.
That's the thing, though. You have to balance not treating them like an idiot and just assuming they know, and then also remembering that people are going to be dragged to this and have no idea what the Fantastic Four is.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
I find that hard to believe.
If I asked my dad who the Fantastic Four were, he'd probably say George Washington, Benjamin Franklin. Like you would have no idea.
I asked my dad, and he'd probably even know it.
My dad wouldn't, and like that's the thing is you have to balance that somehow.
Yeah, but is your dad the demographic they're aiming for this film? Probably
no,
not.
But he does have children, and that's the thing. It's children want to go see things you've never heard of.
That's like I got
you're absolutely out of your mind if you haven't thought about the fact that there is some guy who has gone to college, gotten his degree in like engineering, whatever. He's had a couple kids and came home and said, wow, what a wonderful life. And his kid came up and said, Dad, do you know about Skibbity Toilet? And then that guy just like threw himself out the window. Like the kids get into stuff that we've never heard about and they drag us into it.
I had a complaint this week for the trailer pack that I had on Conclave.
Really?
Because it's mainly kid films because that's all I had.
Yeah.
Because it's a PG rated film. So I can't really put anything PG-13 or higher on that. Mm-hmm. So all I had was like, Mufasa, Moana, Dogman, Paddington. So
you're going in to watch this drama about the picking of a pope, and you're getting the Dogman trailer.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's great. Who's complaining about that? That's awesome.
Yeah, there's some old person that was like really adamant about.
Why would you be annoyed by the trailers that show before a movie,
I don't know.
Though?
Well, my Dogman was supposed to be on that because even when I saw it, Cinemark, Dogman was on there because it's the same Universal company,
right?
Even though it's Focus Features, and you really can't put Nosferatu on that,
no,
for obvious reasons. And yeah, because my whole thing, and I tried to explain to her, I said, well, the older people that are coming to see this, I'm giving you ideas so you can bring your grandkids and stuff, and it's not offensive, it's not intrusive. And she was just like, "You're an idiot." I was like, "Have a nice day."
I get being upset if you go in to watch like Dogman and you get a trailer like the Red Band trailer for for anything. Like yeah, I can get coming out and being like, hey, this really like doesn't work, and going like that's not supposed to happen. My bad, like whatever. But going, hey, there was something inoffensive in front of my Catholic movie. Like, what are you pissed off about?
Yeah. No, because that happened earlier this year with Ordinary Angels. Somehow our TMS server for the projectors had got a life of its own.
Yeah.
And put the PG-13 trailer pack on that, which had Imaginary, which was the
spooky, scary.
Yeah, with the teddy bear. And some woman lost her mind and tried to apologize and everything. And then she ended up threatening to take us to court for making harmful materials available to a minor. And I was like, if you feel a trailer is a harmful material, good luck to you.
Yeah, I mean, because
you'll never win that case.
I can understand coming and saying, hey, I don't know if you're aware, but this feels weird to me. Like that's an opinion, and that's trying to be helpful. Going,
and then we can fix that.
Yeah. And absolutely being like, oh, well, I'm so sorry, we didn't know that was happening. I'm going to go check the server, because no theater intentionally does that.
Right.
Like they know not to.
Right.
And so if it happens, it's
Cinemark will.
Oh,
because
right.
the other thing,
they're godless.
The other thing too with Ordinary Angels, Lionsgate and Imaginary was Lionsgate as well.
Oh, okay.
So I really could see like the bigger theater chains actually putting that trailer on that movie because it's the same studio and they paid for it.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
But they don't pay me, so I pick what I want, and I make it less than a half an hour.
Take that, Hollywood. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently, David Lynch now needs oxygen just to walk across the room. He has
poor
emphysema.
Guy's getting old. Well, he smokes like a chimney.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, he said he quit smoking in 2020, and he said, I saw the writing on the wall, and it said, you're going to die in a week if you don't stop. I could hardly move without gasping for air. Quitting was my only choice.
That or maybe seeing Eddie Van Halen pass away from that too.
Yeah.
Because he was a heavy smoker. Mm-hmm. So that probably was a wake up call for a lot of those guys that age, and David Lynch is definitely.
Yeah. Well, he said it was a high price to pay.
Yeah.
For his love of tobacco and the taste of it and the lighting cigarettes. He said it was all part of being a painter and a filmmaker for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did say he doesn't regret his decades of smoking, though. He said, I don't regret it. It was important to me. I just wish I wish what every addict wishes for, that what we love is good for us. I'm like,
yeah, that
dude.
kind of explains a couple of his films.
It does indeed.
Yeah. Well, though, the most interesting thing that David Lynch has done, he did a Duran Duran concert film that's like black and white, goofy David Lynch imagery.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
Huh.
And yeah, that's because I went to see that in the theater just because Duran Duran, David Lynch. Okay, the both of those collide. Yeah, I have to see this. And it was funny. It was all like, I think it was the only guy in the theater. It was all like these older women. That,
Oh, really?
Yeah, still have a thing for the guys in Duran Duran, and I'm like crouching down in my seat because I'm like, I'm coming from a filmmaking perspective to see this. I do like Duran. They're really like the one band on my bucket list to see in concert before I die.
Yeah. Are they touring at all?
They still do.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay, cool. Good for them.
Yeah.
Speaking of good things, Transformers 1 is going to be on Paramount Plus actually today. It's out
cool.
today, so I'm finally going to get to see it.
It was good. It's better than the last couple of live action ones. That was for sure.
Those were so bad. Who let The Last Night get released? If you want to do something as a tax write-off, don't steal a bad Batgirl movie from us.
Yeah.
Can Transformers.
So with good news now, I have bad news for you I mentioned that last night. So bad news, working out the December release schedule with the film buyer for this place, we are not going to be playing Kraven the Hunter.
No!
Yeah.
Andy, do you think that's going to get you out of this? I have to ask you, do you think that's going to stop me?
No, I fully expected that I'm going to have to buy the tickets to Cinemark for us to see this
I will drive you into Oklahoma to make this happen.
There's a couple of things with that. So this is... I don't take those scenarios or situations lightly.
Sure.
I really do think about it. So here's the background to that. So it comes out the same weekend as The Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Rohirrim, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You had most of it.
Okay, so not too bad. So, and Warner Brothers is making theaters play that for at least 3 weeks. Like, we have to play a minimum for 3 weeks. And nobody can tell me, or even like if it's tracking well, like what we should expect out of this thing. None of us. So even for
War of the Rohirrim,
right?
Okay, yeah.
So even for like a theater placement for that, I'm not sure where to put it because if it goes one direction or another, I'm kind of damned if I do, damned if I don't. Yeah. But I do know it is worth playing because Lord of the Rings does have a solid fan base, and even the anime crowd might actually come and see this more than even the Lord of the Rings people will.
And that's one thing I know you've been trying to do with the theater is like give it more of this kind of diverse, slate that more people here can be like, oh, actually that really plays into something I'm interested in that it doesn't get a lot of play.
Right.
And so I think that's cool.
So the flip side with that with Kraven the Hunter, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
Ooh.
It's R-rated. It's been pushed around for over a year, and nobody has any faith in it, including Sony.
Well, except for me.
You're the only one, Garrett.
I know.
Because our film buyers even are like, yeah, it's
No.
They haven't seen it yet, but every indication I get from it is that it's just not good.
It's going to be awful. I'm going to love it. It's such a dumb idea for a movie.
So we would have to at least run that for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it jams up Christmas releases. So I don't think people are going to be sending us hate mail and stuff going, why didn't you play Kraven the Hunter?
Probably not.
So we're just passing on it.
Okay. Well, I still want to do it for the show. Like,
okay.
I don't want to see it for just my own, edification. I want to see it because I want to talk about it.
I kind of want to see it, but I kind of want to see just how bad it is.
Yeah, that's that. But I want to see if it's so bad that I can't enjoy myself in it, or if it's bad enough that I'm like, this is dumb.
This might make Red One look like Academy Award material.
We might come back and be like, actually, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson really does know how to emote. It's
yeah, but Aaron Taylor Johnson, like, I'm still surprised that he took this role.
I'm not. He's not had like a big breakout. He hasn't.
Well, Kick-Ass kind of did.
Yeah, but that waned pretty quickly. And the second one was not super well received.
No.
And so he's had this career where he's working consistently. And I don't view him as one of those actors who is, he's not a breakout like Jennifer Lawrence, but he is consistently able to work. And for an actor, that is the hardest thing to achieve. It is so hard to be someone who works consistently at a level above doing TV commercials and stuff that pay $300.
Yeah.
And
but he was really good in Bullet Train.
He was good in Bullet Train, yeah.
And I saw a movie about John Lennon that he did called Nowhere Boy that's really good too. Small, like I'm probably the only person that saw it.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it also, he's probably got the most comic book roles under his belt out of anyone.
Yeah,
so,
probably does.
He's probably just like, I just want to see how many I can rack up. Yeah. I'll do anything, whatever.
But so I'm sorry to break that to you, but I had to.
That's okay.
Let the turtle out of the bag.
I forget the turtle. My cat's name is Turtle. That's the joke. Anyway, so. Oh, goodness. Headhunters, Chloe East, who was in The Heretic, is joined the cast for this Kevin Costner written and starring horror film.
Kevin Costner's doing a horror film?
We talked about this briefly one week. I can't remember how long ago it was.
So this is Horizons Part 3. Is it 3 hours long, too? Because Kevin Costner he can't do a movie under 2 hours.
So it was cinematographer Steve Holleran is making his directorial debut with this. It's based on an idea that he had.
So that's better than Kevin Costner having the idea.
Yeah. Well, he took the idea to Costner. They wrote the script together. And then Costner is playing a character called Laser, a washed-up American expat with a mysterious past who finds himself living in Bali, Indonesia. Laser recruits a group of surfers led by Bima, a local photographer, on a journey to an uncharted island to pioneer a perfect wave. I don't know, how do you pioneer that? Whatever. To their surprise, the island is home to an ancient tribe of headhunters guarding the land at all costs. What ensues is an adventure-turned-survival story of epic and bloody proportions on a tropical island which once seemed to be paradise, but is actually closer to hell. So, yeah, I don't know. That could be fun. And I like Chloe East.
Could be. I like Chloe East too.
After Heretic, I'm just like, I'll watch anything she does because I like her performance.
But I'm surprised anybody is giving Costner money to do anything after the disastrous.
Notice he's not directing, though.
Well, yeah. And that's another thing. You can pull that up. You can pull The Postman up, too.
Not that anyone has ever done it intentionally.
I hope not.
No one's ever pulled it up out of the cabinet with the VHS tapes and gone, I'll watch this again.
I can't imagine anybody watching The Postman more than once. I'm sure there's somebody out there that really likes that film. I'm definitely not one of them.
Yeah.
And I like post-apocalyptic kind of films too. Oh, and I saw too, I think for streaming or something, or for sale, there is a black and white version of Furiosa.
Oh, is the black and chrome out now?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I need to find that.
Yeah. I figured you'd be interested in that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
I do too.
Lupita Nyong'o has joined Matt Damon and Tom Holland in the new Christopher Nolan movie. We still don't know what it's about, but we know she's been cast.
And you won't because Christopher Nolan is such a secretive jerk.
Yeah. But that's fun, though. You go in blind.
It is. And I'm actually glad for that. I complain about it, but yet I respect the guy for that.
I like the idea of going into stuff blind because I've done it a couple times this year, and I think I've enjoyed movies more than I did when I watched the trailers.
Heretic was
ridiculous. Yeah, I had no idea what Heretic was about, really.
Yeah.
I knew the premise, but I didn't know any of the scenes and stuff. So every frame was like fresh, and I like that. So
I think you just relied on my word of mouth too more than
I did. I trusted you after we watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that's personal growth for me.
Surprised you didn't.
Apparently, Denzel Washington says that Ryan Coogler is writing a part for him in the next Black Panther movie. So
it's got to be better than Wakanda Forever.
Did anyone even see that?
I did.
I heard it was not good.
No, Drew even has the Monopoly game for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well.
Yeah, he loved it. Like he'll watch that any chance that he gets, and
that tells you everything you need to know.
I really wish they would have just let it go, just because of the passing of the main star. I could not see how they were going to continue that story with cutting him completely out. Like they should have at least just tried to replace him.
How did they address him dying?
They say he died.
How did they say how?
If they do, I don't remember.
Okay.
But And Denzel Washington says like the last couple of films he's going to do here are going to be it. He's retiring after that.
He said on the Today Show in Australia, at this point in my career, I'm only interested in working with the best. I don't know how many more films I will make. Probably not that many. I want to do things I haven't done.
Well, and he can afford to do that.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is he can do that, and I will be everything that he will put out, I will probably go see because you guarantee that it's going to be top quality.
He's being choosy, he's being picky, and I think he always kind of has been. Like he has a pretty consistent run of, at the very least, everything he's done is like got some emotional through line that he grabs onto.
And I think the only bad movie I can think of his is, and it's not even a bad movie, it's just kind of a strange movie, is the Magnificent Seven remake.
I kind of like that one still.
Yeah,
like
and that's what I said. I don't dislike that film. It just, comparing it to the original, it's very different.
Yeah.
And there's, the diehard Western fans, that's sacrilege. But, I'm one of the few people, too, that like the Coen Brothers remake of True Grit more than I do the John Wayne one.
I can do nothing for you, son.
Right.
It's a great line read.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, and Haley Steinfeld got her start in that, too.
Yeah.
And she's fantastic in that movie.
She is.
But Denzel Washington, I look forward to seeing what he does to wrap up his career. Speaking of wrapping things up, they're not doing that on the Blade reboot. Have you seen anything about this?
No.
Kevin Feige says the Blade reboot is still alive. He says, we love the character. We love Mahershala's version of him. And rest assured, whenever we change direction with the project or we're still trying to figure out how it fits into our schedule, we let the public know. You're up to date on what's going on, but I can tell you the character will be coming to the MCU.
I think they should just go back to Wesley Snipes being a bit...
So that's interesting because he says we love Mahershala's version of him, but then he says the character will be coming back to the MCU.
Huh. If there's, because I think that got the biggest reaction in Deadpool Wolverine was seeing him come out as Blade.
Yeah,
I mean, at least in my eyes, that was huge for me. So I'm sure I'm not the only person that thought that.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely, even in the when I watched it, and I watched it a little bit late, and not full theater. There was like you could just kind of feel everyone go, oh.
Yeah,
Blade. And it's been 20 years since those movies came out. And
him even making fun of that.
Yeah.
Like saying there's only one Blade.
There's only ever gonna be one Blade.
Yeah.
It's great. So yeah, I don't know. It's they're saying they're not getting rid of it, but it keeps getting screwy, man.
As long as they have a solid script for it, and I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
They need to find a comic book nerd like me that knows that series pretty well and pick a story out of that and stick with it.
Yep.
And just flesh that out into a 2-hour
Find
movie.
the little ways it plugs into the larger universe or whatever. But, honestly, though, I'm after the Agatha All Along series and reading about all of the stuff that's been going on
I haven't bothered with that.
I'm just so... The stuff that they're integrating into it now really is the stuff that I'm like, that's the ooky spooky spiritual stuff I don't touch with a 10-foot pole. And I know that's part of the Marvel comics and stuff. It's always been there. So, but the Marvel movies since 2008 have been a little bit more like they're just fantastical superpowers. It's not witch magic, but Agatha All Along is about witches. Scarlet Witch she got her powers from this Infinity Stone, but then it became, no, actually she's the Scarlet Witch. And again, I know that's the character from the comics and whatever.
Right.
But the more they delve into that stuff, the darker it feels, the more I'm just like, I don't care about this.
Well,
anymore.
I think Catherine Hahn made a deal with the devil anyway to get where she is. So.
Probably.
And Aubrey Plaza is the same thing.
Yeah. Someone commented on Twitter about how Disney should release the cut that has all of the gay sex in it. They were like, release the cut, you cowards. And it's like, because like that's a whole thing is that Agatha and I think Aubrey Plaza's character is actually Death, but they have a pre-existing relationship.
I've just stayed away from it.
It's a bunch of stuff that I'm just like, I don't want to engage with it, not even to know what's going on. I don't want to be involved. The journey down the witches road, I want to go the other way. I want to turn right on Righteousness Avenue and maybe make a stop off at the McDonald's of Holy Food. I don't know, like just something else.
Hey, good news is, Garrett, we're headed that direction with Wicked.
It's not going to be a fun time.
Oh, well, we'll make it a fun time.
Yeah,
don't worry.
yeah. I gotta buy those 10s units.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, just last little bit here. There was a Splinter Cell movie, which is based on the Tom Clancy video
books.
game. Well, yeah, there was the books, and then there's the game franchise that was real popular in the Xbox 360 era.
Okay.
And they were working on this starring Tom Hardy, but apparently a producer who was behind it, and it had been announced, just revealed that it fell apart and they're not doing it anymore. So it's dead in the water.
So are they still continuing with the the character that John Krasinski's doing for Amazon?
Jack Reacher? No,
it's not Jack Reacher.
It's the same one that Harrison Ford plays and all that stuff. What is that guy's freaking name?
I can't think of it now. But that series is. I haven't seen that. But I want to.
Yeah, I hear people talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, it's actually really good." Jack Ryan.
Yeah, Jack Ryan. Okay.
I want to see it, but I don't know. There's like, those series and stuff where you're like, I know that probably would be good, but I'm just not in the mood to start it right now, and then you go find something else.
Yeah,
that happens to me a lot.
Reacher's pretty good. I like that series.
I need to check out Reacher too.
And I like my main thing right now that I'm streaming is Tulsa King with Stallone.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love that series.
Okay, all right.
I think it's great just because Stallone has finally figured out to like pick a character that's actually his own age in reality. So that's exactly what the story is.
Yeah, okay.
And it's really good.
Yeah.
And
just admit you're old. It's okay.
Yeah.
It happens. It means you lived.
But
it's a win.
But the whole thing too is like that gives me hope that there won't be an Expendables 5. So keep doing that to keep occupied with that, and don't do these other things that are awful.
I'd love to think that an Expendables 5 won't happen, but Andy, everything went wrong at the fall of humanity in the Garden of Eden, and since then we've been made to suffer, which means the Expendables 5 is inevitable.
And not to mention Lionsgate has control of that, so.
It's definitely inevitable then. It'll be a direct-to-DVD sort of thing next, but it will happen.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, that's it for the news. Do you have something?
Yeah. We mentioned this. Conan O'Brien is hosting the Academy Awards next year.
Yeah. I don't care.
Oh, okay. So that's why we didn't mention that. Never mind them.
No, I just don't care about the Academy Awards. It's just a bunch of people patting each other on the back and like, you deserve to be recognized for your contributions, but that's what the paycheck is for.
Honestly, I kind of wanted us to do a podcast for that next year.
I mean, I just don't know if I can sit through 3 hours of people like grandstanding about how they're so much superior to me because I don't live in Hollywood.
Okay.
Drives me crazy because I've also been on set with some of these people and I'm like, you're mean.
I was even going to pick teams like who could pick the most winners, me and Jess versus you and Hannah.
Okay, that could be fun. Yeah. Maybe I'm on board. Maybe I will let them tell me how bad I am.
I just ignore the rest of it and I just go, okay, who won, who didn't win.
Yeah.
I just always get mad immediately at the stuff that I know that I've seen that I go should be nominated and just doesn't even exist. You
have to pay to even submit your film into it. So like there's so much politics and money being transferred around behind the scenes. Like it's worse than trying to watch an election because you're like they're open about being screwy with this one. Like they lie about the other one, sure, but this one they're being open about it.
I think the worst award show to watch is the Grammys anymore.
Yeah, the Grammys, the Razzies are fun if you're in a bad mood and want to just make fun of people. But
hey, the Crow should take top honors for that this year.
They should just call it the Crowies this year.
Right.
Like just everything goes to the Crow. But they do the pomp and circumstance for everything every time, but it's always the Crow.
It's just going to be Lionsgate night between that and Borderlands.
Oh, right. That was this year too.
Yeah.
Border Crows.
Because those two and Red One, I think, are probably the worst films we've seen this year.
Ooh.
Since we've started this.
Maybe so.
Argyle's pretty close.
Yeah, Argyle's pretty bad. I'm trying to think of like the thing that Texas Chainsaw Massacre I hated.
Yeah, but that's
I know, I'm a fuddy-duddy.
no, like you can't really put that in a ranking of like worst films of the year since it came out in 1974.
Yeah, but they re-released it, so they asked for this punishment.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I think If was bad too.
Yeah,
I dislike If a lot for
I
being
did too.
For being something that visually really works and story-wise is just a mess and ends up creepy and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, that brings us to the end of the news then.
It does.
And the end of the show, in fact. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
Actually, I do have one more thing, if you'll indulge me.
Okay.
So we had someone respond to a couple of our
awesome.
a couple of our stuff,
Cool.
our reviews on YouTube, and I just wanted to give a big shout out to Scott who commented, and I'm trying to pull up his comments now, but the internet is
really crappy in this theater.
It's very slow at the moment.
It is.
So he said, he commented on Heretic, said, I'm an atheist and an A24 fan. I thought it was really good up until the second and third act where it just got silly. Hugh Grant really is able to go from being absolutely hilarious to terrifying very quickly. And so I agree. Yeah, Hugh Grant absolutely is scary in that movie.
Yeah.
And then he also commented on here and said, just about everything Garrett said, I agreed with, but none of that really bothered me. I just shrugged it off as Zemeckisms, which I think is my new favorite word. So
you said that about Heretic or here?
Here.
Oh, here.
Yeah,
Okay.
all the weird stuff was just like, yeah, that's a Zemeckism.
So nobody picked on me about picking on the Indians?
No.
Oh, thank God.
No one picked on you about that. Not yet. Don't worry. It's coming. He also said, I will say, though, they didn't do anything to de-age their voices, which is something that I forgot to point out when we were talking about it. They do. Tom Hanks sounds like an old man, even though he has the face of a 17-year-old Tom Hanks.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but yeah, Scott, thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
We love to hear what people think about the movies we review. So you can always find us on Instagram and Facebook at Grand Review Pod, and just let us know if you think a movie is good, bad, great, or terrible. That's our scale.
If anybody finds anything out there that is maybe not on our radar or something that you've seen that you would recommend for us, I'm always up for like watching something new. I know I want to see Neon's new picture too, Honora. It's big in the art house like circuit right now.
Okay.
But it's the same guy that made the Florida Project and Tangerine that I really liked.
Yeah.
And this one, it looks very hardcore and hard R rated, but it looks really interesting. But I know no one around here will play it, so I'll have to wait for streaming.
All right. Well, if you know where we can watch legally.
Or if any, like I still know Juror number 2 is playing at the one theater in Austin that it was playing at the last time. I'm just not sure how long it's going to be there with everything coming in for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we probably need to go see that this week if we're going to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll figure that out. But for now, we'll let everyone go. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. And there's only one thing left to say, and that is
we'll see you at the movies.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.